there is chaos in the Donald Trump administration, and it's only a week. Uh, I don't mean to have fun with it, but it's kind of comical and kind of scary, to tell you the truth. Just within the last 24 hours, there's all sorts of issues, canceled meetings, foreign presidents canceling meetings, full-on departments resigning, the border control chief resigning. And as I talk to you now, Trump is addressing Republican lawmakers at the GOP retreat. So I'm sure he'll have some doozies there. Yeah, I'm already running out of popcorn, Stephanie. You said it right. And I don't want to minimize that, a lot of the things Trump has done are very dangerous, threatening to progressive values, and scary. I'm not joking about it, but it's kind of comical that it's such a shit show. Such a shit show. So, first and foremost, the president of Mexico canceled a meeting with President Trump that was scheduled for Tuesday. I guess when you pound your chest on the campaign trail that Mexico's going to pay for this wall. And I was there. I was there at all the rallies. And when he said, who's going to pay for the wall? All the hyenas. Mexico's going to pay for the wall.
And who's going to pay for the wall?
Well, apparently Mexico's not going to pay for the wall. And Trump's going to start building the wall anyway. And you know who's going to pay for the wall? Whoever guesses first. Tell me who's going to pay for the wall. Is it going to be Mexico or somebody else? I'm guessing it's going to be you and me who pay for the wall, because it's always the middle class and the working poor who pay for ridiculous things like a wall or Medicare Part D or unpaid for new programs, whether it's on the border or anywhere else. So we're going to pay for it. And you know what's going to happen? Donald Trump, through things like the wall and tax cuts for the rich and tax cuts for the billionaires and tax cuts for the corporations, he's going to blow up the debt. He's going to blow up the deficit. Then he's going to then he's going to lose election. A Democrat is going to win the White House in 4 years. And then the Republicans are going to do what they did to Obama. Oh, look, the country's in $30 trillion of debt. It's their fault. So basically, this is what Republicans do. And frankly, neoliberals do. They run up the debt so that they can give huge tax breaks to their donors, to corporations. They can put in their goodies like border fence walls, Medicare Part D. It runs up the debt. And then they leave a pile of shit on the door of Democrats. And then they rant against the Democrats. And middle America, frankly, is stupid enough to then believe, oh, it's the Democrats' fault. And you know me, I'm not in love with the Democratic Party. I think they're mostly corrupt. But in this case, I mean, it's clear as day Republicans have run up the debt over the last 30 years, way more than Democratic presidents. Bill Clinton, whether you like him or not, he left a surplus, to George W. Bush. So let me read you some of the story. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto on Thursday called off his planned trip to Washington after President Donald Trump moved forward with his plan for a long-promised border wall and needled his southern neighbor about forcing Mexico to pay for it. The cancellation represents... Oh, by the way, Trump was ranting about this on Twitter. So this is the President of the United States ranting against the Mexican president on Twitter. The cancellation represented an escalation of the already simmering tension between the Trump administration and its Mexican counterpart, and comes on the eve of Trump's first meeting with a foreign leader, British Prime Minister Theresa May. Trump's promise of a White House driven by, quote, America First, has worried foreign leaders around the globe, but perhaps nowhere more than Mexico, a nation with which Trump has pledged to get tough. Quote, this morning we told the White House we won't attend next Tuesday's meeting with POTUS. Peña Nieto wrote on Twitter in a series of posts. Mexico reiterates its will to work with the U.S. to achieve agreement for both of us. These posts from Peña Nieto followed two from Trump earlier Thursday morning, warning that if Peña Nieto is steadfast in his promise that his nation won't pay for a wall along America's southern border, then, quote, then it would be better to cancel the upcoming meeting between the two leaders. Before I go further, I just want to say, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, I find it extremely troubling and scary that we have foreign leaders initiated by President Trump pretty much going to battle on Twitter. I'm all for social media. I've got 67,000 Twitter followers. If you don't follow me, get on that, at Jordan Chariton. I love social media. I love Twitter. But the President of the United States, Republican, Democrat, alien, it doesn't matter, should not be engaging in negotiations with a foreign leader on Twitter. This is not a joke. So, at this point, nobody's gonna change Trump. But let's call it out what it is. This is insanity. It would be comical if it wasn't so scary. So I'm not gonna read the rest of the story. Here's the bottom line. Like I've said in video after video after video, and I've been criticized because I didn't have Trump derangement syndrome during the campaign. I didn't cover him 24/7. I didn't cover every booger. I didn't cover every tweet. As obviously he's president now, I'm going to cover him more. But I'm not going to do it like the rest of the media does, because I don't care what Donald Trump tweets at 3 a.m. Okay? But I think what the Mexican president canceling this meeting shows, it just reinforces what I told you during the primary, what I told you during the general election, what TYT was telling you. I know a lot of you didn't like how much the Young Turks covered it. Trump. This man is the ultimate con man. Yeah, I do think he has said things like some fascist things. I think he has said terrible things about Muslims. And now he's trying to block Syrian refugees from coming in. By the way, in September of last year, speaking with Bill O'Reilly on Fox News, he said we have to let them in. Of course, the media is not covering that because the media has a short-term memory. But what I find so interesting is Trump. It started with, oh, the Mexicans are going to pay for the wall. No problem. Not even a consideration. It's going to happen. Okay. Well, the Mexican president kept saying, no, we're not going to pay for your fucking wall. And now the chicken's coming home to roost. Trump is now saying, well, we're going to start building to expedite and they'll reimburse us. Does anyone for a second believe that Mexico is going to reimburse the United States for a border wall? I mean, it's comical. It is comical. Mexico's not paying for that wall, folks. And if they do, I'll be the first one to come on the internet and say I was wrong. All hail President Trump. This is putting aside whether we should have a border wall or not, which is a whole different discussion. But why would Mexico pay for this border wall? What's in it for Mexico? Yeah, Donald Trump could start a trade war with Mexico, but Mexico could hold out. Mexico is a very corrupt country, by the way. Its leadership is equally corrupt, if not more corrupt, than the United States. But there is no incentive for Mexico to pay for our wall. And if the American people, particularly Trump supporters who voted for him, are stupid enough to think, okay, yeah, they're gonna reimburse us, so just start building. I did a video last week. This man is literally winging it as he goes along. He's literally winging it. I guarantee you he has not even thought about a replacement for Obamacare. So yeah, he's going to start the wall. We're going to start building the wall. And Mexico will reimburse us later. Does he have any evidence of this? Has he even met? He met with the Mexican president while he was a candidate. They didn't discuss the wall, we're told. And now the Mexican president won't even meet with him. Is canceling meetings. And this is the master negotiator. This is the art of the deal. Give me a break. He's a con man. And by the way, he is going to build the wall. The only problem is you're going to pay for it and I'm going to pay for it. And this debt that Republicans like to scream about when Democrats are in control, this debt, this deficit, which by the way, credit to Obama, the deficit, not the debt, the deficit went down considerably under President Obama. But it's all smoke and mirrors. This man is literally, one of my idols is Larry David. I love Larry David. He wrote Seinfeld, star of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Curb Your Enthusiasm is an improvised show. There's really no script. Well, this is an improvised federal government now with a reality TV star starring in this improvisation. He has no plans, and his people are literally ramming things through. I want to read you another story about Trump's executive orders because they didn't even think these through. A lot of these executive orders might not even be legal. Headline: Trump's flashy executive actions could run aground. The White House failed to consult with many of the agencies and lawmakers who will be critical for their success. President Donald Trump's team made little effort to consult with federal agency lawyers or lawmakers as they churned out executive actions this week, stoking fears the White House is creating the appearance of real momentum with flawed orders that might be unworkable, unenforceable, or even illegal. Shocker. The White House didn't ask State Department experts to review Trump's memorandum on the Keystone XL pipeline, even though the company that wants to build the pipeline is suing the U.S. for $15 billion. Defense Secretary James Mattis and CIA Director Mike Pompeo were, quote, blindsided by a draft order that would require agencies to reconsider using interrogation techniques that are currently banned as torture, according to sources with knowledge of their thinking. Just a small circle of officials at the Department of Health and Human Services knew about the executive action starting to unwind Obamacare, and only less than 2 hours before it was leaked. Key members of Congress weren't consulted either, according to several members. At a conference in Philadelphia, GOP legislators say they had no idea whether some of the executive orders would contrast with existing laws because they haven't reviewed them. Listen, I'm all for cutting, red tape. I'm all through cutting through federal bureaucracy, which I think a lot of the bureaucracy is put in place to actually stop journalists and people from actually getting to the bottom of things or, actually getting meaningful things done. But this guy is literally making it up as he goes along. On the wall. He's signing these executive actions. No, I'm not feeling better, Jenny, but thank you very much for asking. I have a viral infection at a slight fever, but you got to push through. This guy's making it up as he goes along. He really is. And I think the scary part to me is, the media, as opposed to actually calling him out on this, the media is like, because they want access. So the media is not calling him out on this. This is the same thing as George W. Bush passing 2 giant tax cuts for the rich. The media didn't ask, well, how is this going to be paid for? They just bought this nonsense that we're going to have, tons of economic growth that the tax cuts are going to pay for themselves. Did the media ask when Bush went to war with Iraq, well, how are you going to pay for this? How are you going to pay for this? No, because they were cheerleading along for the Iraq war. Did the media ask when Bush put forth Medicare Part D, a totally unpaid for tax entitlement plan? Well, how's this going to be paid for? No, of course not. And then that same media who doesn't ask questions or challenge them, you know what? You know what the media does then? Oh, look at the debt. The debt's becoming a big problem. Let's have libertarians and these think tank people on to rail about the debt. Because we, the media, don't challenge the lawmakers when they're creating the debt. But make no mistake about it. Trump's all these executive actions that he's been doing for photo ops, it's very possible they're not even legal. And I did an interview for TYT Politics. It's up with Anthony Rogers Wright. He's an environmental activist. He's been very big on Standing Rock, who basically says, I don't think his executive action on Dakota Access Pipeline would hold up in court. Which, by the way, guys, I haven't forgotten about Standing Rock. A lot of you have asked if I'm going back. At the moment, I have 100 fever, so I'm not going back today. However, I am monitoring what's going on there. I am talking to sources, and it's up in the air whether I'm going to go back soon, but I do plan on going back at some point.